Gamer Feed Radio.
What's going on, everybody out there in podcast land? This is Gamer Feed Radio, episode 86. I think we're on 86. Maybe it's 87. Holy crap! It's episode 87.
Oh my god!
It like keeps going and going and going. It's crazy. So we're happy to be here again for another week of hilarity. If you paid attention to the show last week, you may recall that there was a lot of fun that was made at Brad's expense, and I'm sure Brad didn't listen to it because he's a big loser, but there was much hate for Brad last week, and all things that we, I even did like a little audio drama music at one point. It was quite epic. But anyway, this week Brad's here, and he dragged Newman into his world of lies. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. So joining us today, of course, I am your host, Nick Delicave, and I'm joined this evening by the long-lost but not forgotten Kyle Pope. What's up, Kyle?
But I'm not even a host anymore. I'm just like a special guest.
Dude,
Let's be
shut
honest.
your mouth. No.
I hardly exist at this podcast.
You are always here, buddy. Always. Joining us are the now aforementioned people we don't like so much. Brad Wallace. What's up, Bradley?
Hey, it's great to be back. Thanks for having me, Nick.
And soon to replace Brad and take over his pay grade, David Newman. What's up, Newman?
How's it going? The elephant in the room. We just got some big news.
We did. This is breaking in the newsroom.
Oh my
40
God!
minutes ago.
Fine. Drop it.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready? Are you ready for some knowledge?
I'm holding on.
Everyone's gonna know before this is published.
I know. It's not live. Breaking news.
Days ago or whenever this gets up.
Yeah, breaking.
Brad, it's already trending.
Well, now, so we will know what it is in like a couple hours.
9.5 hours.
Yeah, like literally very, very shortly.
Right. No, 12 and a half.
Like 12 hours, yeah.
Oh, for God's sake, just say it already.
Well, the NX, I thought we said
Yeah,
it.
the NX.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
Without saying.
So what about the NX? What's all the juice?
It's going to be a trailer.
We'll tell you tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll tell you when it happens.
Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, they're doing a trailer, a 3-minute trailer according to the Japanese Twitter feed.
Right. And it's going to be the hardware reveal. They're not doing some big blowout on launch games or anything else. This is literally just going to be the introduction of the concept and the hardware. Literally the thing that everyone's been clamoring for. So this is the equivalent of them showing off the Wii Remote for the first time. Like this is going to be the thing that you play the game with, not necessarily. They're not unveiling the next Mario Galaxy or whatever. But
They do have a big shareholders meeting next week, though, so more is going to come out. I'm sure.
The word from Emily Rogers, who's kind of spotty credibility, but she said earlier in this week, she said the next 2 weeks are going to be huge NX news weeks. Like, you're going to know what it is by the end of this week, and it ends up being accurate. But then next week, it sounds like it's going to be a blowout on games, yeah.
Which it is going to have to be if they're going to sell this thing by March.
Yeah, it's very, very close. We're almost 4 months away. Like, but yeah.
So I think it's going to be interesting. Sizzle reels don't do much for me anymore in my old age. So, I'm sure it'll be very entertaining. It'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. But of course, like I said jokingly in the chat before the show started, I'm pretty sure it's going to have more questions than answers. But like you said, maybe we'll get a bunch of news all at once and it'll be okay. Maybe.
If we get one answer, they're increasing their questions to answer ratio.
Yeah.
And the last hardware reveal was the PlayStation 4 Pro, so the bar is pretty low right now.
Yeah.
It's a perfect time for it.
Right.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, I'll find out tomorrow at 10 a.m. Or for those who listen to the show, you heard about it earlier today, and we'll have reactions with that and more next week on our Halloween show. brief tease.
Woo!
Woo!
Excellent. So, wrapping it back around to the intro, suspiciously absent from this podcast is our recently returned co-founder of GamerFeed Radio, Rob Pugh, who has been put on a little bit of a leash courtesy of some FCC violations with his ongoing terrible naughty language. So, otherwise known as work, Rob is working, and so he's unable to join us for the show today. But yeah,
My first show back. It's because of me, isn't it?
No. He has to work, and seriously, I told him, I was like, watch that mouth, you old geezer. He's getting old and cranky, and there's so many adjectives to describe it, but none of them are appropriate. So anyway, he'll be
crap.
Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back next week. Okay, so as we always do customarily at the top of every show, just remember you can check us out on GamerFeedRadio.com, on Twitter at GamerFeedRadio, on Facebook. Lots of playtime. Newman's been pumping out the jams with some Overwatch gears and a variety of other play things on live streams on Facebook.
Ew.
Live. Yeah, I know. That didn't sound right. But anyway, so he's there periodically. You should get a little notification if you've liked our page, and if you haven't, do it now. You can check us out on YouTube, and we encourage you to subscribe, because there you will also get notifications. All the podcasts get uploaded there auto-magically after each recording. And, of course, we're always available on the now staples of iTunes and iHeartRadio, which can be heard all around the world. So
all around the world.
Woo!
Sorry.
So now that the intro has been completed, it really wouldn't be any fun if we didn't jump right into a little bit of a save point segment with the wrong music, because that is what I have clickable at this exact moment. But it's kind of news, too, because Kyle's back, and Brad and Newman locked themselves in an underground secret bunker and strapped some things to their heads. It really doesn't get any cleaner than that, because all of you are currently in the gutter thinking, Brad, Newman, together in an underground secret bunker. Tell us what you were doing down there, Brad.
So, Brad, as we've been hyping up for many weeks here, Brad went all in, deep dive into the world of virtual reality. Oh my god!
Oh my god!
without the movie controller, you got the dual shot. No, so I went all in. So it's so funny. I got it on launch day, which was last Thursday. Mm-hmm. I literally got to play with it for like one evening, and then I went to California for a weekend.
Because that's what normal people do. Normal people do that.
Yeah, obviously California's probably more.
Clearly, I need your job, because if you just dropped 500 bones on a PSVR headset and then traveled halfway across the continent, I need what you need to send me some tips, brother.
Literally the entire continent. But,
making the big bucks of the bucks.
I just want it delivered in $1 bills, like on a secret plane overnight.
Saving on money that would not be for rent. Now I get to spend it on stupid technology pieces. But no, yeah. So right. I got the past couple of days now. When I've gotten back, I've been really actually able to sit down and play it for like long stretches at a time. And honestly, it's like lived up to my expectations. Like there's nothing quite like it. Like my first time ever doing VR, like in any form, was literally a couple days ago.
So is that it now? You do VR? Is that the appropriate way to describe it?
Yeah, it's like it's hard to describe exactly what the sensation is, but
but there is a sensation.
I'm not sure I want to know.
It's not like playing video games on like a regular TV. There's the closest thing I've heard it described, which I agree with, is it's like a Disney like dark ride. Like you feel it's like a different type of entertainment. It's not like seeing a play. It's not like seeing a movie. It's more like you're in this world, like, but it's for real. And I don't know. I'm like so all in.
If you die in the game, you die for real.
Oh my god!
It's like
it's a 4D experience.
Storm outside. We were gonna get stuck in it, like in a movie.
Trapped in virtual reality.
Can you imagine if we got stuck in cat lateral damage?
Sword art.
If only there really were axe murderers that came out of video game screens for some people, just some.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but I don't know. So the only full game I bought was Rez, which and it lives up to its hype completely. Like I've always loved that game, and that was literally the reason I bought the VR. If that game didn't exist, I would not have a PlayStation VR. But I'm like completely in love with that. But luckily, it comes with this demo disc of like literally I think 15 or something like that, 12, 15 games. And me and Newman just been sitting here like knocking them out kind of one by one, and like we're just like I don't know. I won't speak for him, but they're just like the coolest thing. I love it.
I gotta say, like the best games for it are the ones where it's doing like an art style, kind of like the old like NES or Super NES, Nintendo 64, and GameCube, and then after that, everybody's like trying to be super realistic. Those don't really work on it,
Right.
but when they're doing the art style, it feels like what they thought virtual reality was going to be like in the 90s. It just childhood dreams.
So literally the two best looking games are probably Rez and Battlezone, and they both have a very similar kind of style, like you said. Like they're a lot like vector images, not photorealistic. Like we played Drive Club VR.
Yeah, that just felt like I got sucked into a PlayStation 2.
Yeah, you feel like you're stuck in like 2001. Like it just doesn't quite work. Like at least not yet. Maybe in like 10 years it'll be up to snuff. But
I don't think it's gonna take that.
Yeah, if that, right.
It'll be like the next console generation, maybe.
Oh my god, it's crazy to think about.
But that's gonna be.
Right. But as a format, like I'm sold. Like I really think, and honestly, it's a thing that you have to like try to get. Like you can't watch a video, obviously. It's like watching a video of a roller coaster. It's like it's never gonna be the same as when you're riding the roller coaster. But yeah, it's just
so
crazy.
many comments and so little time to that. But go on.
I love it, but it's going to take a while to catch on just because the most like accessible and the best games for it for a while are going to be these artsy kind of games.
Yeah.
And like it's not going to hit the mass market until there's either like that killer, I don't know, because you're not even going to have like a Mario game or whatever that like make Nintendo something that everybody needs, but until they can get it, like everybody can afford a system that can run the realistic looking ones.
Literally right now, the cheapest way to play VR is like $800. Like, so between the cost of a console, the headset, and like one game, right?
Assuming you have the TV and like
that's
else.
not exactly. Not to mention.
Well, we all just need Brad's job, and we can afford all that and a weekend in California.
Yeah.
What you get when you work 2.5 jobs and don't have to pay rent. So yeah. But yeah.
So what you're saying?
I mean,
So if I could regurgitate part of that back to you with a question. So are you saying that it's working on better on stylistic games because the graphic fidelity of what is quote AAA or more realistic, it's just not there? Are you saying it's like a frame rate issue where it visually it collapses and it ruins the effect? I mean, what's the barrier? And do you think, as a follow-up question, that something like PlayStation Pro or the forthcoming Scorpio and all the other technology enhancements that are coming down the pike in the next 12 to 18 months will fix some of that?
I would say a big part of it is the resolution. So honestly, the frame rate is pretty much perfect on every game. You never really get a sense of like dropped frames, or even with the tracking, like it's literally 1-to-1. Like wherever you look in real life, or like wherever you move your head, I should say, is like reflected 100% in the game. It's just that in certain games, like Drive Club, for example, it's very clear you're looking at what looks like a cell phone. Like it just doesn't look very good. But then in other games like Battlezone and Rez, because it's just cleaner shapes and like solid colors, it's a lot easier. It's a lot clearer. So like with Drive Club, for example, you're driving past trees and buildings, and those have like they try to do like textures and like details.
It's like if you take your glasses off and you're just living in that world.
Yeah, so it's kind of grainy too. So like as smooth as it is, it's like somebody threw sand in your face. And you're like trying to watch. You're like, I can kind of see the road, but it's weird. The clearer and brighter the colors, I would say, the better the experience it is. And other than that, though, it's really not like a technical thing. The only thing I could say would be just that would be the resolution. But also, this is kind of a minor quibble. This will probably get better with future generations. But the actual field of view. So right now, like your field of view in the headset is kind of like putting on a scuba mask. So like you can definitely see what looks like a virtual world, but there's a definite outline of like.
It's like you're looking at it through the toilet paper rolls.
Yeah. So like as much as you're seeing another world, like for real, or what feels real, it does feel like it's looking a little bit through this kind of tunnel vision. But that's something that, again, that's going to be, future hardware would be. I think those are easy fixes. It's just the cost has to come down. That isn't to say what's there now isn't good, because I'm assuming the Oculus and Vive are at least as good, if not better. Then I don't know, if you have disposable income and you're curious, it's like the coolest thing out there. But yeah.
Meh.
I'm with Kyle. I'm not, and again, like you said, I think you described it best. It's one of those things that you have to try. So whenever you decide to disclose the location of your secret bunker and we can all come over and play, I'm remaining optimistically skeptical, because what you just described makes me go, I am not spending $500 to look through toilet paper tubes. Okay, if I want that, I can do it, tape them together, and I'd have more fun with my daughter running around playing Monster, which costs $1. Then you know what I mean? Like, is it? It's just are there setting changes, or can you like improve it at all, or it's just a limitation of the hardware?
But think of it this way. Think of yourself in the real world. And now it's funny that we have to use terms like this. But like in the real world, you're sitting on a couch and you're looking at a screen, right? And you're some odd number of feet away from the screen. That image is tiny compared to what VR is, even in this early form. It's like watching a YouTube video on your phone.
Yeah, I'm literally like holding my phone up about a foot away from my face, and it looks like it's the same size as the TV.
So like when you're playing, even on a giant screen, you could have like a 60-inch TV, and it still doesn't come anywhere near what VR is, even in this early stage. So that isn't to undersell the magic of VR.
I mean, you can actually just simply, like, in the tank game or the racing game, you can just look to your right and see what's going on over there.
Right. It's so bizarre. Like, it feels like you're in a tank. Like, there's no other way to describe it other than, like, oh, I'm sitting in the cockpit of, or like a space.
We also played Eve Valkyrie, and that looked more realistic than the other ones, and it works too.
Yeah, that's the one realistic game that works.
Detail didn't need to be that good because you're these huge distances away.
Yeah, that game is probably the best looking one. But as far as, like, photorealistic and like the smoothness, but I still think, like we were saying, certain styles definitely pop better in VR. But no, that isn't to say these are just the most minor quibbles I could come up with. Like, honestly, the magic of putting on the headset is still like, holy crap, I'm like looking into this other world. It's completely bizarre.
I think there is still going to be that same barrier I talked about last week with the AAA games not being developed for it for a while, but it is definitely, it's going to work.
There's it's not a matter of is VR going to work. It's going to be how soon does it become the next big thing? Because at this point, I think it's a given that some form of VR is like the future of entertainment. It might not be the PlayStation VR running on the original PlayStation 4, but
it won't be.
Obviously it won't be. But
it's not designed for that.
But it's such a bold leap in that direction that you have to just like applaud it. I don't know. I love it. I'm an evangelist for it at this point.
Well, that wouldn't be the first time. So I guess my next question, which is I think the most important, is I need you, in your infinite, now famous, almost perfect record of predictions, which is, of course, I'm totally lying. I need you to predict for me how long it's going to take you to trade it in.
No, never.
Lies.
Get out.
Lies. Thank you, Kyle. You totally picked up what I was putting down. Because I say this with great love, but the Brad hype train, it
derails real quick. It derails, like...
I mean, you're going to be an evangelist of it for like 2 months, and then you're going to be like, dude, I need the $300 so I can go back to California. And you're going to trade that sumbitch in.
No, the VR headset, it's literally the same as like a monitor or a TV. It's not like a system. Like, you can literally... It's a monitor, right? So I'm not going to sell my, HD TV either. It doesn't work on that level. I don't know.
I think GameStop will take your money one way or the other, and I know that you will. I know you're going. I can't wait to have this conversation a year from now. I can't wait.
You can sell it in this brick phone to I don't know. I mean, whatever. You guys, that's cool. You can go watch some black and white TV on your boob tube, and the rest of us in the future enjoying entertainment unlike anything else.
TV, they're gonna listen to their radio.
Yeah, plug in your ham radio. I just don't get these HD TVs. I just think black and white square vision is it's good enough, you know.
So
That's
here,
me.
there's a big difference
Right.
between the concept of something and the execution of something, right? The concept of
All
VR.
not forget motion controls.
Yeah, right. Motion controls were going to
was
change the
huge.
universe. How many
Oh, they
peripherals? No.
Huge.
No.
If by changing the world you mean putting accelerometers in more phones, I mean, come on.
That is huge.
Nah.
What is huge about that?
Well, look. So conceptually, to
I don't
me,
know. I don't think so.
So here's my thing, right? My hype coming into this was with a little healthy skepticism, but you have an effect on me, Brad, where I'm like, you know, I'm in it. I agree. I totally buy the hype, and I have fallen victim to the stupid hype train so many times. Numerous games.
You PlayStation Vita, Nick. All right. I don't want to talk about pointless video game purchases when I'm just kidding.
But no, but I guess that's what I'm getting at. Like, the whole idea of it is cool to me. So I'm not poo-pooing the concept of the idea or what it could be, but how you just described it to me with, which to your credit, it you know, you're excited and I get that. But I don't know. It sounds like I should wait. Like, it's cool. I should experience it, but I'm not going to drop $500 to get one. I'm going to wait to see what the next iteration is going to be that gets it more into parity with what I visualize VR to be to me. I mean, of course, I'm saying this totally blind, but that's maybe I would feel different if the situation was different, but I don't know. I mean, I think the whole idea is cool, but
I would call it, it's the same with any consumer electronics. I mean this with all I don't know. I'm not trying to sound like a douche here, but you could argue that with literally the PlayStation 4. It's like, I'm not gonna buy a PS4. You know, I'm gonna wait for the PS5. It's like, at some point you're like, clearly, if you don't have the money, of course don't buy it.
right.
Like, you know, first, you know, take care of your family first. Obviously, I don't know. That's not my argument here. I'm saying, as far as a bold leap in entertainment, this is way less than any HD TV at Walmart. Like, you know, you go in and get a $600 TV, and it literally is not as cool as a VR to me. But I don't know. It's just a different thing. If you look at the leaps in entertainment, right? You get especially in broadcast or whatever type of consumable form, you have traditional stage plays, you have traditional concert music, whatever. And then you start to get into television and movies. Yeah, right. I mean, recorded music's a big deal. If you're graphing the history of consumable entertainment, this is as big a leap as the invention of television. It's just an entire new form of things. It's hard to describe. The invention of Hollywood style filmmaking, a feature film, that didn't exist 150 years ago. So VR is still in those weird phases. So looking at the history of cinema, for example, you go back to in France in the 1800s, there's weird magicians doing magic tricks with smoke. But then 50 years later, you get Citizen Kane. So that doesn't mean at the time it's oh, well, these moving pictures, it's such a scam. I could just go see a play.
I'm gonna wait.
Right, I'm gonna wait. Well, it's clearly, yeah, at some level, but the advancement is so crazy. It's literally an entire new form of entertainment. There's nothing like it on the planet. It's so cool.
If they can bring over the indie games from Steam,
right, and it's just a matter of.
It will I think it would be worth it for you if you had that kind of.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. And a lot of games are getting free updates. So I could see something like Journey being patched to be hey, the full game's now playable in VR. But I don't know. Even still, it's just so cool to me. Even just the cinema mode. You're looking at what's basically you're sitting in a dark movie theater playing your PS4. Granted, the resolution isn't 4K, but you're still looking at a giant version of your PS4. Yeah, it's just so cool. I don't know. You guys will see it, and then you'll be I get it. I think it's that level,
It's not for everybody. If you like this,
right?
Absolutely. You're expecting, Call of Duty.
Yeah, there's no Call of Duty on there just yet. Like, that doesn't quite exist.
Excellent. So, Newman, you're a PC person. We talked last week on the show about this, among other things. Your additional thoughts?
I'm still gonna wait on a headset until they figure out like a standard controller for the Vive or the Oculus. But I mean, yeah, I definitely want to.
See, it worked on Newman. It'll work on anybody.
Well, I'm
Really?
stubborn. I'm stubborn as a mule, and but anyway, I'm thrilled. And by the way, thanks for sharing the pictures because I'll put them in the show notes and the article and everything. But
Yeah. Just my 2 cents. I mean, I understand it's cool and everything, but I just advancement like that. I mean, what are the games like? Like, are they just kind of like things you can toy around with, or there's any depth? Like, I'm all about. I want big, giant games, and if I'm going to do virtual reality, I want these.
You want
Like-
100 robot golf?
100-foot robot golf. It's the greatest game ever. You play as a 100-foot tall robot, and you play
Thank
golf.
you, yeah. Wow, I never would have guessed that. See, I don't know.
yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna come over. I'm gonna come over and try it, but right now, I mean, the virtual reality and everything, like, yeah, it's cool, but you know what I'm more excited about? The Last Guardian, Final Fantasy 15.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like shit like that, and all these big games coming out with. Apparently, I've heard Final Fantasy 15 is worth the wait. Thank God.
You can talk about that later, but
Yeah.
Right, but I'm just saying, I'm more interested in games and gameplay than I would ever be in just a bunch of weird little mini games like 100-foot robot golf. You know, like,
Stop it.
you know, it's just like,
so okay, not
It's
to
like-
go.
it's
I don't-
like it's like Wii Sports. It's like it's cool that it's there, but it's not gonna do anything for me. You know, like.
We're gonna start arguing about the merits of any game and take up the whole show.
Well, no, this is a good discussion. I like it. No, but
I do.
I'll-
We very
go
rarely
back
have very
to-
serious discussions like this, so it's kind of a nice change. This is what happens when we don't invite Rob. Go ahead.
So no, here's to go back to kind of what I was getting at. So like VR is like literally just a different style of entertainment. So like I would classify video games as one type of thing and VR games or VR as like a different thing. So you can play video games in VR. Like Rez is a flat out, it's like an on-rail shooting game. It's just like any other kind of 3D like Panzer Dragoon, any of those games if you played it. It's a real full game. I mean, it's like a PS2 classic. It just happens to work perfectly in VR. But certain games definitely wouldn't. Like, I would never play something fast-paced like Call of Duty in VR. That'd be like Nausea City. But that is a right. But like comparing Final Fantasy 15 to something like Endless Ocean or whatever it was called, like Deep Dive Expedition, like it's like comparing a movie you saw to a concert you saw. It's just like they're two different things. You can't quite compare them apples to apples.
Then why is there a Final Fantasy VR?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So like right now we're in this weird phase where we are kind of like
Why was there Arkham VR? And I looked at that and that looked straight silly.
No. So I haven't played it, and I can't comment on Arkham in particular. But that's one that is more like an interactive movie. It's like, oh, I get to feel like I am Batman in a bat suit. So that game, if you want to call it that, is literally built around the feeling of I look down and I see a bat suit and I am Batman, like, and I'm interrogating the Penguin. It's like you know. Like
The
you go
secret's
right
out, Brad. I'm sorry. The world knows you're Batman. Damn it.
No, hold on, no. So it's like if you ride, this might be a little bit better example. So like you go ride It's a Small World at Disney, and it's a cute little boat ride, and you go around all the countries, and they're all singing, and it's nice. And then you go ride at Cedar Point, like, Millennium Force, like a 300-foot tall roller coaster. They're both theme park rides. By all means, they both have a ride system. You get in a car, you move around on a track, but they couldn't be more different, right? So that's what, like, something like Ocean Dive versus Final Fantasy 15 is. That isn't to say that there aren't, like, crazy, intense, thrilling things in VR. So like horror as an example, like there's horror demos on the VR, and they are like legitimately the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. Like I was screaming audibly over and over during the Resident Evil one. Like it was terrifying, and it was as cool, like way better than any, like walk-through haunted house I'd ever been to, because there's no. It just feels like you're in this deranged redneck's house and they're like torturing you. Like it sounds horrible on that level, but if you like horror, it's thrilling. But like it's so funny that like I don't know, VR can lend itself to classic game things like Eve Valkyrie is like straight up dog fighting, kill all the enemy planes, and it's amazing because you're looking around this cockpit and you see a ship over you, so you have to like look up to see him fly over you, and that's something that you can't really do on a regular screen that well. So it just lends itself to whole new types of gameplay.
I think it's almost like jumping, like when they jumped from Super Mario World to Super Mario 64.
Yeah, that's probably...
Like it was entirely different, but it was still,
Yeah, on some level you're jumping, you're running, you're collecting stuff, but...
They had to figure out how to make it work with the new controller, the new depth available, and everything else, and that's kind of where we are right now.
Right.
Where they're trying to figure all that stuff out, but it's like a completely different control scheme, view scheme, and everything else.
Right, so right now the trend seems to be all these kind of cockpit games because PlayStation in particular, it's a seated experience. It doesn't have like the walk around your room stuff that the Vive has. So like the feeling of sitting on your couch and playing Eve Valkyrie, you really feel like you're sitting in a cockpit in a gigantic spaceship. So that, I mean, I don't know. The software, it's really on like the designer's side of things. I honestly think the hardware is there for thrilling virtual reality experiences. Like we've said, like games like Rez and Battlezone are, and even Eve for that matter, are as good as like from a technical standpoint as it's going to get. It's just a matter of getting even more like killer games.
And I love that they're like limited in a way that's forcing them to be artistic.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to work around what you're given. Yeah, you don't have everything, so you have to be creative with it. N64 did exactly that. That's why you get masterpieces like Ocarina of Time versus like Quest 64. I'm just saying, but like comparing those two games, like that's there's going to be crappy VR games, no doubt. Right now there's like bar games and like weird stupid looking stuff. But even as recently as as soon as next month, Ubisoft is coming out with what's supposed to be one of the killer VR games called Eagle Flight, which is you play as an eagle and you fly around France, and it's like you race, there's different objectives.
That sounds like Motion Sickness City.
I don't know. Everyone says it's the best VR game. So that's one I'm like really interested in getting. But yeah, this is, like I said, this is just the launch lineup. I mean, if you were to judge the PS2 on its launch lineup, no one would ever buy one. It took a year to get Final Fantasy X, Grand Theft Auto 3, all the real games. And honestly, even still, the launch lineup, I think, is awesome. Like, I'm having a blast with even just the demo disc. It's, like, completely surreal. But yeah.
Well, and so...
Okay.
I mean, look, I think that's all completely valid, and the good thing about it being a particularly rare occasion that with the exception of the new 3DS, and we all bought one and then sat there and like did an episode playing, it was ridiculous, but I think it is one of those things where it's impossible to put a measurement on it unless you've seen it, because and that's the thing. I mean, out there the reviews have been really good, the industry's all hype train, buy, it's super worth it. I just got an email the other day from GameStop. I don't know how they got my email address. It's not too late to buy your PlayStation VR, which of course I'm not, but that's cool, and I want it to be successful. I want it to be a thing that adds to the medium, but I don't want small games. I don't want all the stuff that I play to be stylistic. And like you said, some of that's just a limitation. It's a lineup. It's not out yet. The hardware will improve. Technology will improve very quickly. I'm imagining there'll be firmware updates from here to Kingdom Come that will add all kinds of interesting capability over time. All of that's great. I'm just saying that for me, as somebody who typically jumps on the pre-order hype train for almost everything and has been burned so many times. I didn't this time. It's like the first quote. I'll use it this way. I don't know if I describe it a console, but it's the first quote console purchase that I've not pre-ordered in several generations. And so, and I don't know why I didn't jump into it right away, aside from the fact that I'm like, I don't have $500 for that. But even if I had the $500, I think I would have taken a wait-and-see approach because I don't know. It's an unknown quantity. You're walking into something that you aren't familiar with, that you aren't sure, and it is a risk putting that kind of money on the line. So I guess in that regard, we're thankful that people like you exist to work 2.5 jobs, globetrot, and still manage to have enough money left over to buy all those things so that we have people who can
do it.
Yeah, who can realistically advocate. Because if I go to like a Polygon or an IGN or Game Rant or Edge Online or any of those other industry publisher sites, I don't know if they're getting a kickback. It's all like, oh my God, it's amazing. You got to go buy it. And I'm just like, shut up. You guys have lied to me and wounded me so many times. You're like politicians. I don't believe anything that you tell me, okay? So, but, and even though you do have a record, one at Brad M. Wallace on Twitter, of, having the notorious top 100, top 5 games of all time, and we joke about it, you have a valuable opinion, and that's something that I think at least this crew takes seriously. So for me, I knew, of course, you were going to come in and be riding the hype wave, and oh my God, it's amazeballs. But
love you, Brad.
We do.
I love it.
We do. I mean, it's a weird love, and I owe you a beer for giving you so much shit about it, but
I like it. I honestly love this. I could no, this is great. I'm like the bulldog for VR. I'm like.
Well, you are for Apple, too, much to our listeners' dismay, and for the former Metal Gear series, and for Kojima, and a variety of other things. But I have to tell you, Brad, in this case, if this was a court, the only reason why I'm even more inclined than usual to be on your side is that you brought a character witness, you bastard.
See?
Yeah.
I'm not even sitting here trying to validate like my own $500 purchase, and I liked it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's actually true. So Newman, in your case, because now that you've kind of seen what the PlayStation is offering and you're aware of what's going on the PC side, I mean, is it worth the jump to a more expensive headset on the PC side, or based on what you've seen with PlayStation, you would advise PC people, I mean, look, unless you've got the expendable income, hold off, because in a year from now, this will really be the platform of choice.
I have actually never played like any sort of VR before, so obviously if you have a PC and not a PlayStation, do not go out and buy this.
Right, yeah. Right.
I mean, I don't know. I want to try out like a Vive and the Rift.
I'm really curious to see what the other ones are like now.
Like I said before, like those don't have the standard control. I mean, I guess the Rift is using the Xbox controller, but they don't have like their standard move controller yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like that's all built in with the PlayStation, which is an advantage that I didn't even like think of. With even though it's a controller not designed to go with it, it's still they can design around that from the get-go.
Right, so one very little underrated thing about the PlayStation VR compared to the others, like Newman just said, is the fact that, so like the DualShock has that light bar on it. That means the camera's tracking your headset, but it's also tracking like your DualShock at any given time. So literally, like in Battlezone or Eve, you can look down in the game,
and it'll tell you the controls.
Yeah, and it'll show you the controls exactly 1-to-1 where you're holding the controller in real life.
Also, aside from that, this is just kind of funny. Like, I put the headset on, and Brad went to hand me the controller, and I could look down and see it in the helmet.
Yeah. So I handed him the controller, and then this like floating DualShock just appears in Newman's face. Like, it's just the coolest thing.
Once again, so many comments, so little time.
DualShock. I said shock, not a
Oh God! I'm trying not to go explicit. I really am. We need one every once in a while for the kids. For the kids.
Oh.
Well, so
honestly, if there's some kind of, like you said, like standard PC motion tracking controller, and the cost comes down or the hardware improves, yeah, even in like a year, I could see it being like a must buy.
So then I guess
we shall see.
We will see. So I guess the next and most important question is, now that you have told all of us that apparently you made it on the stock market. What are some of the future virtual reality games coming on the horizon that you are particularly excited to add to your repertoire?
So immediately, honestly, there's a couple of games in the launch lineup I still want to get like the full game of. One is this rhythm game called Thumper, which I swear to God might be as cool or cooler than Rez. It's another game that's pretty simple in its style, in that you're just like this car, like you're like this little chrome car. Yeah, you're like a beetle looking thing, and you're like skating along this like roller coaster track. Yeah, Hot Wheels track, and you're tapping and grinding the rail like a skateboard almost, like Tony Hawk, right? To the beat of this music, but it's also just like this dark, like black world with these like creepy faces showing up. So it's like a horror game meets a music action game. Like
Weird.
I just played it for the first time maybe like an hour ago, 2 hours ago, and that's like by far the next one on my list, and that one's like $20, right? But after that, the big games for me are going to be, like I said, Eagle Flight is one that I'm really excited for. I think it just came out on Oculus, and the reviews are really, really good for it. So Eagle Flight's up there. That one's another, it's like $30-$40. It's not like a full $60 game. Resident Evil 7, assuming they work out some motion sickness issues. Like, I played a sitting still Resident Evil 7 demo, and it's like the creepiest thing I've ever experienced. That's what I was talking about earlier. But if they get like the movement down, that's going to be one to watch, because horror in VR is like nothing else. Like, I can tell you, going to like haunted houses throughout my life, there's nothing like being in a VR haunted house. Like, imagine like the scariest haunted house you can in real life, but it's like worse than that. So for me, that's like amazing. Worse on the thrill, like heart attack range, but better as an experience, like by far. Because I hate waiting in lines for like those stupid long haunted houses and stuff. But yeah, like this, yeah.
I don't exactly relish the thought of screaming like a sissy girl, because that's exactly what I would do. Oh my God! So I'm like a horror fan. Like, I love every horror movie, but I wouldn't say that horror movies really scare me that much anymore. I just like that little bit of thrill I get while watching them, which is, obviously fear, and it's like an element of like riding a roller coaster when you're watching, a horror movie. But being in VR, it's literally like I can't even describe it. It's a whole nother world, man.
Yeah.
Man.
Where's the Doritos, damn it?
Oh man, I am hungry.
Yeah. Okay, well, to not cut you off, but to cut you off, because we have spent 43 minutes talking about this.
I was gonna say we can kind of shuffle around. Obviously, I'm happy to keep. Like, I love the fact that you guys haven't played it and we have. It's a cool format to be like asking questions. I think that's a cool format.
Well, and I'm also that's part. Well, I don't know that I came in with that specific intention, because we obviously have a whole list of things that we're not going to get to in this recording, so we'll save it for next time. But I mean, because
just be sorry.
Go ahead, Kyle.
I was just saying, this could just be a save point. I mean,
that's true,
yeah.
and I'll change all the graphics that I made for it. But look, I think though at the
oh shit, never mind.
No, it's fine. I'm going to have to do it anyway. But at the end of the day, I agree with you, Brad, in this regard, because there are so many people out there that, there are people who they jump on the hype train, but they've been burned, right? The most recent burn, and I know it's stupid and we hate on it all the time, No Man's Sky. Everybody said it's going to be amazing, and it was terrible.
Oh,
I don't care who. I'll agree with Gothalion on this, that the first 3 hours was like, wow, this is amazing for what I spent. And then after that, you're like, wait, but that's all there is? It's the same thing repeated. Yeah. But it didn't live up, or we've pre-ordered something and the DLC didn't come out on time, or if you were a player of The Division, that game blew up because of poor design and mechanical failures. So people have been burned recently, and me in particular being among them. So I have a healthy dose of skepticism. Of course, I knew you were going to come in here, like I said, and be all excited, which is great. But you're right. I haven't
played and right on a T-Rex with your Oculus Rift in your eyes.
So
Sorry, PlayStation VR. Sorry.
But the thing that I wasn't banking on in this is that, I mean, I know that we were joking yesterday. You're like, oh, Tuesday we're gonna get together, baby, TBA, and you were joking with Newman. But I'm glad that you got somebody else to at least validate that as an objective opinion, because Newman is still new, no pun intended.
Right, yeah, no money you're sitting on this, right? Yeah.
I mean, he's been, like I said, he's going to slowly take over your salary, one penny at a time. But I mean, like that, it's really important. Well, I mean, aside from the fact that he puts in his time, man. He works on this show, even if it's quote fun time on Facebook Live. I mean, he puts his time on.
I know it was a joke. I said
no.
I said, we get paid.
Yeah, no. Well, I wish. But. No, it is a good format. So I guess then my only other question, aside from other games and things that you're looking for, is, I don't even know if I want you to do this, but I'm going to.
Good. That's you have to ask that question before.
If I don't have, so let's fast forward a year from now. You've played all these great games. Maybe the price comes down. There's been enhancements, firmware upgrades, all the things that we talk about in a perfect utopian world that makes this thing it. What is the next thing? Is there another thing? Is there another dimension of interactivity that... Because virtual reality, and we talked about this last week on the show, has been around forever. I mean, Virtual Boy tried it and failed, of course, and then in the late '90s, some video game stores had the virtual reality machines you could ride for $20 and all that, as I talked about. But what do you? I mean, is it just going to iterate for the next 10 years, and it's going to be an accessory bundled with a box, or what?
Okay, so first of all, I got to backtrack just for a second here. But like you were talking about being burned, and I'm not just saying this. But like, go to like your favorite video game forum, or like I go to like the PlayStation VR subreddit in particular, and like compare people's reactions on the subreddit right now to like No Man's Sky a week after launch, or even honestly like Destiny a week after launch. Like I remember being on the Destiny subreddit a week after launch, and it was filled with people like, WTF? I like say like you're describing. I got burned. I wasted my money. Bungie hyped this up. It's crappy. Look at all this cut content. Blah blah blah. Like No Man's Sky more recently, like, oh, they lied to us. Look at this. This is nothing like what I hoped. Oh, this sucks. But honestly, go to like people that own it, not just myself, but like listen to their testimonies, and it's like through the roof. Probably even crazier about it than I am. Like they're all like, holy shit! Oh my god, this is the greatest thing ever. Like this is better than I hoped. Like it's the opposite reaction to what you're just describing. Like there's a trend of like people that own it are like through the roof about it, rather than people that bought No Man's Sky are not through the roof about it. Kyle just disappeared. But oh, there
he'll be back.
Oh, he'll be back. Okay. No, but that's just one point in particular. I should say that not just myself. Like obviously, you could call it rose tinted glasses or whatever. But I'm obviously all in. But everyone that owns it, I've yet to see a single like I regret buying this post or whatever. So compare that to the number of people that regretted buying No Man's Sky, and I think you'll see the disparity there.
We should set a reminder for 3 months.
Yeah.
Brad, like, how much he actually still uses it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Because everything's still new right now. Like,
True. I'm going to be in a while now, right? If only just for the launch games, even. Yeah. No, but anyway. So to go on to what you were just saying, this is where I'm again gonna get all like douchey and like big picture here. But
imagine.
I was gonna say that's opposed to any other time, but go on.
Yeah, exactly. So Tim Cook and like I believe like the CEO of Google, whatever his name is, I forget it off the top of my head. Mr. Google himself.
Oh my God.
Dr. No, they've both said that augmented reality is going to be bigger than virtual reality, which I agree as far as like practical, real world uses. Like
we've already seen Microsoft working on.
Yeah, so Microsoft is even skipping kind of VR, and they're kind of moving straight into augmented reality.
They're
I am.
They're going to work with Oculus to have it on the Scorpio.
Yeah. So,
but still, that's like getting somebody else to do it for you while you focus on the next time.
Yeah, right. So in the short term, VR is just going to keep improving resolutions, field of view, tracking, frame rates, stuff like that. That's obvious stuff. Like that's always going to keep getting better, just like it would on a regular 2D game. But But then, honestly, the biggest leap forward is going to be in augmented reality, because I think the real world applications of augmented reality are going to be way bigger than virtual reality. It's like VR, you're kind of stuck in like what I would call virtual tourism, which is like you feel like you're in this other place.
And that's kind of that's my biggest like kind of quip about it.
Yeah, honestly,
that's what you do with video games already.
Exactly. So like imagine the coolest game world you've ever been in, like Oblivion or something, or Skyrim. But imagine in like even a year, like Skyrim VR. That's very, very doable, if not already done on Oculus, right? So
yeah, there's probably a mod out there for it somewhere.
Yeah. Even though it's not official, right? But anyways, so
there's a Grand Theft Auto one too.
Yeah. No, but I think with augmented reality, the biggest thing I can think of is like with medical advancements, right? So imagine you're like a surgeon and you're about to operate on some dude's belly, and instead of just like having your set of tools, having like your whatever assistant, nurse people, imagine having like an augmented version of like you're looking at this guy's body, but like you have a virtual heads-up display of like here's his liver, as if you would know, but like kind of identifying stuff about this person in like a three-dimensional virtual world, but augmented in your real world that you're actually going to be cutting this person open.
On that same note, with the virtual reality, they can use it for training surgeons
Yes,
too.
yeah. So honestly, I could see a like actual pilot using even like PSVR to like get a feel for flying a plane, like on some basic. I'm saying on a basic.
Yeah, I don't
level.
either.
Yeah, no, it's just like old people playing golf in retirement homes. It sounds thrilling.
No, I'm just saying on some basic level, I could see it.
Quit making fun of the Wii. Okay.
Well, let's be honest. No, but I don't know. I think obviously the hardware on VR is going to get better, but long term, we're all going to have, microchip-sized glasses.
iPhone.
Yeah, great iPhone. Yeah, it's like Google Glass, not terrible. Like that's going to be the future. And honestly, you can still have gaming applications for augmented reality, including virtual
Candy
reality.
Crush.
Yeah, literally virtual
Imagine
reality.
Pokemon Go actually being cool.
Yes, actually,
Yeah.
right. No joke. But the funny thing about AR...
I know people play that, and I'm just like, why?
Oh. No, but I don't know. AR by default has like built-in VR, right? So it's just a matter of how much of the real world you're seeing at any given time. So once AR gets to the point of like, that crystal, whatever.
Well, there
you
is a
call
little
it,
bit more processing power probably needed for VR, just because you're generating more.
an entire world,
Yeah.
right. But yeah, I'm saying like even like 25 years from now, that's going to be the future. Is like AR with like an option to instantly become like Skyrim. Like I don't know. It's crazy when the more you think about it, but that's exactly why we need stuff like Oculus Rift and PlayStation VR. Is like these are the steps that get us to like the greatest thing ever. Yeah. Like we're so close. I think on some entertainment level with gaming, with like there's like short films on PlayStation that you could download that are like animated claymation. So like you're literally looking at what looks like a diorama and you're leaning into it in the real world, and like I don't know, it's like really trippy and really cool. But on just like a purely entertainment basis right now, I think VR is there. Big picture, I see it being as big as something like the internet. I think AR is going to be as part of everyone's life as a smartphone. It's going to be like, oh, you see the world without AR? That's weird. That's like when you meet someone with a flip phone. It's like I imagine having all your information just like instead of having all the devices, you just see it like you see the world. But yeah, again, this is like weird, like theoretical, stupid stuff. But on a very short-term basis, in the next year or two, I think VR is the place to be. Like, honestly, I was super hyped about games like Last Guardian, and now I'm like, damn, I wish that was in VR. Like, it's going to be weird to play a 2D game now, because I haven't played a 2D game since getting the VR. But yeah.
Very interesting. So, since we're coming to an hour, which is hysterical to me, does anybody have any other final remaining thoughts or parting wisdom as it relates to the experience of PlayStation VR, or additional thoughts?
I'm never going to talk about my game.
No, you're not. Kyle, just because we can, we'll slip it in here at the end. So
Yeah.
I'll give you we can spare a couple minutes. I'll short the outro. Go ahead, buddy.
I'll keep
Do
it
it.
brief, Brad.
I-
No. I mean, like a while ago, you guys like kind of talked about the games you were playing, and I started playing this series called Zero Escape. Have you all heard of it?
yeah, it's 3DS, right?
A new Mega Man?
Yeah. Well, the original was on the DS. It was called 9 Persons, 9 Doors, 9 Rooms, and then the second game of the series is called Zero Escape, Virtue's Last Reward, and then Zero Time Limit came out over the summer. I haven't played Zero Time Limit yet though, because me and a couple of my buddies are gonna play it, and we're gonna Twitch stream it.
Nice.
And dude, this game will mess you up, like on a psychological thriller level. And I know it's the characters are anime based, which I know it's kind of like a niche kind of thing, but it really is the storytelling. I can't really talk about it without spoiling it, because you know I just can't do that, because you have to play this. I'm not even kidding. Like, I will die by this game. This was the most traumatizing and like psychologically thrilling thing I've ever experienced in any form of media. Like the characters, the way everything plays out, it's also a puzzle solving game. So it's like it's like escape room style.
Nice.
Which honestly, like, that kind of thing on a virtual reality wouldn't be half bad.
Nice.
But so you're basically, it's like a mixture between murder mystery and Saw. But like,
Oh, yeah.
the
Me and Newman are
when
looking at
Saw,
screenshots now, and it's like, yeah, it looks pretty violent. There's a lot of blood splatters, and yeah.
Looks like a
Yes.
jail would be if it's all.
but yeah, it's Saw, but you know, not like without the 12 crappy sequels. And I don't know, this is the last game in the series, is Zero Time Dilemma, and apparently it's supposed to wrap everything up, and I'm absolutely terrified they're gonna mess it up, because so far, like, the first game was kind of terrifying on a jump scare level because of how quiet it was, because it was on the DS, there was no voice acting, and so that's what kind of made me like really appreciate the first game a lot, because it used storytelling and carefully timed moments to make you feel like the thrill of playing the game, while the second game kind of made you think more, because they use more dialogue. Again, you don't like dialogue based games, Brad. I know.
I like.
And this is like the core.
It seems like people call them like interactive novels, but like there's like a
Yeah, well,
different
this is
visual novels, right? Yeah.
this is literally what this is, with puzzles.
Right.
Like,
So I'll give you that. That's a different thing, you know. It's like when I played Heavy Rain, for example. Yeah, like I get that.
Well,
type
yeah,
of thing.
it is a lot like Heavy Rain, not nearly as graphical, but yeah.
You know what you mean.
I don't know. I'm not as good at talking about things as you guys are in detail. Plus, I don't want to reveal too much in case one of you guys try to pick it up. But
No, I'm interested. Yeah.
Going on my
Like,
Steam wish list. They've only got-
first game, I give a solid 9 out of 10. Second game, 10. Like,
Nice.
just two of the most compelling storytelling experiences I've experienced in a very long time, and it kind of actually got me playing video games, because I hadn't played video games pretty much all summer. I was just like, I just don't feel like it, and then this game, my buddy recommended me the game, and I started playing it. I was literally at the edge of my seat the whole time. The first like 3 hours I played it, I was so freaked out that I didn't touch it for 3 days.
That's awesome.
Like, and I was just like, oh, but I want to know. I want to know more things. Like, I want to know what happens here, but I'm terrified at the same time. So it's a good thrilling experience, and it'll mind fuck you. It'll mind screw you a little bit. Sorry. And also it's very sciencey, which is very fun.
Nice.
So yeah, I just thought
I've heard of those games, and they always looked cool.
they're
Yeah.
stylistically they are very cool. Characters are obviously very well written, and you'll be guessing every step of the way who's like really behind all this, who's trying to get at you, who do you trust, who do you not trust. It's a really, really, really well written series, and I'm very excited to play the third game / afraid. So yeah, I just thought I'd put my 2 cents in there. It's just a very, very good series. I would recommend anybody playing it, and it's cheap. I mean, it's you can find, if you still have a DS, or can you play DS games on 3DS?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you could probably find a copy of the first game for like $10, and then now that the third game's out, the second game is probably like 20-25 max.
Yeah,
so it's a cheap good buy, and it's like a 30-40 hour game too. So I mean, it's a lot. It's an endeavor.
Excellent.
I enjoyed it. I think you guys should all check it out so we can talk theory and get all nerdy with it.
You didn't get a spoiler cast for it, right?
What was the first one called? Just Zero Time? No.
The first one's called 9 Persons, 9 Doors, 9 Rooms. The second one is called Virtue's Last Reward. And the third one's called Zero Time Dilemma. Did you get that?
Yeah, we're looking at it on Amazon right now, actually.
The second one.
Awesome. Well, with all of that in mind, we are officially out of time, which means we have the distinct fun pleasure of beginning the exit. So big thanks to Brad and Newman for bringing us the PlayStation VR perspective. I can't wait to not get invited to come over and play it sometime in the next week. But I'm gonna keep. I'm really hoping that Brad will forgive me and will invite me over so that I can check it out and learn the error of my ways. And thanks, Kyle, for.
We just gotta get together.
Like, we do. We totally do. So with that, as always, everyone, remember you can check us out on Twitter at GamerFeed Radio. The podcast will be up almost immediately on iTunes and on iHeartRadio. Show goes live and gets posted every Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern. So, I mean, it's always there. And if there's any changes, of course, we'll tweet it out, so that's why you should follow us. GamerFeedRadio.com, all the shows are there with some extra news and tidbits and stuff. Not Brad's tidbits, but some bits of information. And, of course, Newman is always on Facebook Live playing something, so definitely check in and give him a shout. With that, and with all things, as I said, next week, of course, will be the Halloween show. All kinds of fun things, sound effects. Oh, wait, here's one. You can't hear that, Brad and Kyle and everybody, but there's sound effects.
No, we cannot.
Good. But all the music will be different next week. All the things will be different next week. It's kind of fun. It's one of the few times I get crazy with the soundboard. So definitely come back next week and check us out for the Halloween theme show, where we will pick up with additional save point options, items, as well as our fall preview and other news as it hits between now and then. So until next time, gamers, peace.
All right, later.